Hello and welcome everyone. Again, this is French River Lutheran Church. This is the fourth Wednesday of Lent, and we are inviting you to join us in our Lenten series, which is called A Good Enough Lent, based on Kate Bowler's book, Good Enough. We are people who have been learning how to navigate through this strange time and place over the last few years, and a lot of us don't have the energy. Some of us are trying to keep busy, trying to keep our minds occupied. But God is asking you in this time and place and Lent to slow down, to assess the situation, see if what you're giving out is really fruitful for you, for your neighbors, your family, your friends, and for God. So join us in understanding that what you're doing is good enough. So today, in that same spirit, our theme, we've been going off of this book, Good Enough, by Dr. Kate Bowler. She is a professor at Duke University in the Divinity Department. And her book focuses in on how we can change in this time and place. There are 40 devotions. Someone asked me last Sunday about if it's only 5 devotions. There's 40 devotions in this lovely book. And so if you're feeling a need or a different way of kind of looking at life, you go ahead, you grab this book and kind of read through these each and every day. They're very fruitful, and I myself have found them very helpful. But today, our conversation, the chapter we are reading, is called Hopping Off the Treadmill. Oh boy, here we go. We're going to be taught about our busyness and maybe how it's not life-sustaining. The quote here is from the musical Hamilton. This is a personal favorite musical in my household. My family loves the musical Hamilton. So it's interesting that we are using this today. The quote is from one of the songs. Why do you write like you're running out of time, writing day and night like your life is not long? It's based on the life of Alexander Hamilton, one of our forefathers of our country here. The text comes from Isaiah 55, 1 through 3. Ho, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and you have no money. Come and buy and eat. Come buy and drink. Come buy the wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy? Listen to me carefully, and eat what is good for the spirit, and delight yourselves in rich food. I incline your ear, and come to me, and listen, so you may live. I will make with you an everlasting covenant, and my steadfast love is sure as it is for David. Word of the Lord. Praise be to God. The chapter we read today is Hopping Off the Treadmill. One of the great French indictments of the North American culture of work goes something like this. Americans live to work. The French work to live. I find that to be wonderfully damning because there's nothing I relate to more than the desire to make busyness the balm of our frenetic lives. There is a sobering connection, however, between activity and the nature of work itself that we can discover from the 19th century experiment in punishment. Dun, dun, dun. In 1818, a civil engineer named William Cubitt put his mind to addressing a perplexing social problem. Prisons, it seems, were not places for deterring criminal activity, but for refining it. Young offenders mixed with the more experienced offenders emerged from prison better skilled and more embedded in their criminal ways. It occurred to Cubitt that he had skills that he could put prisoners to work in ways that could train them to be useful, to curb social interaction and better prepare them for the life beyond prison. The son of a miller, he invented a tread wheel or a treadmill. a massive paddle wheel set beside a platform where prisoners could be positioned to step on an endless staircase that rose up before them as the wheel turned. Sometimes the wheel, they turned ground corn or pumped water, but many prisoners on the treadmill did nothing but keep the men walking for 6 to 10 hours a day. They milled the air. Now this might sound ridiculous, but we ourselves do very much the same on our own treadmills. The social interaction among the men on the treadmill was curbed by the building of partitions between them. Loneliness and monotony became the most dreaded aspect of that treadmill, and the public was invited to watch and allowed to jeer and taunt the prisoners laboring on the wheel. Oscar Wilde was one who served time on the prison treadmill. Its use was discontinued by the turn of the century when society deemed it a form of torture to set men to work that had no meaning and allowed no human connection. When I read this, I was shocked because what do we do? Today, the treadmill metaphor has a similar connotation. When we say we want to get off the treadmill, we are saying we want lives that are meaningful. We feel trapped in activities that are monotonous and carry little meaning or purpose. We feel like we are climbing an endless staircase of achievement for higher grades or success. Like an MC Escher drawing, we might feel caught in an endless staircase of caregiving, of work, or social pressure. In such situations, we long to stop and get off the endless round of meaningless activity with unending loneliness. Life reduced to buttoning and unbuttoning, punching in, punching out, heating up more chicken nuggets. Did I just hear the laundry cycle finish? What is that driving us? What is it that is chasing us, propelling us to continue in this unstoppable effort? What are we trying to reach or to achieve? And what would it take us to just stop? A shift in responsibilities, a lower set of expectations, self-permission, a change of perspective. I'm inviting you here today to let you know it's okay to get off the treadmill of meaningless work, even one that was productive for you at one time in your life. Even a daily practice of prayer that is life-giving can lose its meaning if it becomes mundane, a cycle, something you just say without meaning, ultimately a treadmill. Most of us are turning the wheel of obligation in our lives. We know that people depend on us. Nothing ever stops. Regardless, we need a sober look at reality to stop pretending that there are unlimited amounts of energy or endless amounts of time to do what is truly meaningful in our lives, to attend to the values we cherish most, and stop the mindless pressures that we have placed on ourselves. Seriously, if we stopped, would we fall off? As we look at Martin Luther, the founder of our Lutheran faith, and what he said to his dear friend and mentee, Philip Melanchthon. Philip, let's go fishing. Today we can leave the governance of the universe to God. We don't need to meddle with it much more. Here is our blessing today from Kate on how to slow down. Blessed are we who thought we were self-made by doing, by the accolades, by the accomplishments and all the gold stars that we've received. We measured our worth by how tired we were every morning, how many special events we missed because of work, by how many times we answered, "How are you?" and answered with "busy." We thought to ourselves, this is the good life. But then we grew tired and lonely. We felt the strain on our relationships and our personal lives, and we became a bit miserable to be around. So blessed are we who stop. Okay, maybe not stop entirely. Who are we kidding? But blessed are we who slow down, who take time to rest. We who discover rest and new life and renewal when we step off that treadmill, or at least turn it down, slow it down to an easy pace. We who remember that the world keeps spinning without us, and we thank God for that. We who remember that we are loved, loved, loved beyond measure, not for what we do, but for who we are. So when we're looking at our own lives, let me ask you this question. Where do you fall on the busyness spectrum? When you're looking at the spectrum, do you see, my days have lots of margin, empty room, and open space to do what I want, carefree and whatever, all the way over to, there is not enough time, there's too much to do, and I have to push something beyond, where we're tired, where you're lonely, exhausted. Where do you fall within the spectrum? Take a moment and be curious. What are the non-negotiables of your day? What are the bare essentials? Is it saying I love you to your spouse or child? Is it about getting outside into nature? Is it about being creative, slowing down? Doing that one boring thing that you have been avoiding, which would probably take 5 seconds, but you don't want to do it. Just do it. Being frivolous, practicing the daily office, calling your dad, calling your mom, calling someone in your family you haven't talked to in a while. Playing with your grandchild, playing with a friend. You might be a workaholic or a champion avoider, but here's a chance to step off the treadmill, the myth of hyperactivity or productivity, the bottomless energy, or the need to say yes, yes, yes to every request that comes your way, no matter if it may not be serving you as you once thought. Of course, we know we can't stop everything. Of course, we know that certain jobs require certain obligations. But maybe we can take off the burdens we have self-imposed, knowing and trusting that we are just loved as we are, and no amount of doing will change that. So think back on a time where you did something that shimmered with meaning. How much work was behind that? And what does that say about what's important to you? We have heard ourselves and understand that during this pandemic time that there is something called the Great Resignation. Some people are very frightened by this, but I find it maybe that this pandemic has given many people a reality check, that what was happening in their lives before might not have been serving them well, not giving them a healthier life. And so while some people might be resigning some jobs, they might be finding new ones that actually give life. So rather than just looking at the negative, let's see where this new life of enlightenment comes about. From the ashes comes new life. And so on this day, I wish you well. Find a time and place to hop off the treadmill, to not force yourself to do all the things, because you yourself, you can't pour from an empty cup. Give yourself time to rest, to give yourself care, to find what truly is important to you. And in that, I give you blessing, and that is good enough. Join us next week for our final Lenten journey. All right, amen, and be blessed.